Hello, this is the RPG Crawler, and welcome to another Indie Game Friday, where each week I take a look at an independent computer role-playing game. This week we're going to take a look at a conversion of an RPG-based tabletop card game, One Deck Dungeon. Developed and published by Handelabra Games Inc., it's based on the card game from Asmati Games, and was released on Steam on May 18th, 2018. From time to time, I come across these computer conversions of board and card games that were inspired by RPGs, and it might seem like a stretch to call them proper RPGs from a computer RPG sense, but a few of them actually come quite close and in fact cross into that territory. One Deck Dungeon provides a persistent character advancement mechanic that does bring it into the realm of RPGs, and indeed, it seems to meet some of the more simplified roguelike style games out there. In terms of plot, not much can be asked for. You take one hero, or sometimes two, and head into a particular dungeon. The dungeons are simply defined around boss monsters and represented by an additional challenge that adds up with each level you descend. When you start, you get the option to play quick or start a new game. Quick play just places you into the dungeon and ready to begin, while starting a new game allows you to pick your hero or heroes, as well as which dungeon you wish to enter. Each hero is represented by a card detailing their abilities, their heroic feat, and one skill. The hero can initially equip up to 2 items and 2 skills during play, but turning in defeated encounters earns you experience. Once a new level card is reached, the hero can equip more skills and items, up to level 4. As for the hero's abilities, they include strength, agility, magic, and health. The first 3 represent the number of dice rolled to overcome particular challenges, while health represents the maximum damage that a hero can take before being defeated. These abilities can be improved by obtaining equipment, which is simply gained whenever you complete an encounter. Equipment is very abstract, each one simply granting points in one or more abilities. Likewise, each character automatically starts with one skill, but can be equipped with more as they succeed in encounters. Skills may be automatic or may be used in particular types of encounters such as combats, hazards, or bosses, with each skill having different encounter types that it can be used in. They range in utility drastically, and offer some strategic depth to game progression. Notably, each character also has an heroic feat. Heroic feats vary from class to class, and may be used to grant an additional heroic die. The dice pools and how they interact with encounters are the heart of the game. Each encounter has a certain number of challenges, plus the challenges for all dungeon levels that you've visited thus far. Challenge boxes may allow either 1 die or multiple dice. During the start of an encounter, you roll 1 die for each point of an ability score relevant to that encounter. So if one encounter only has magic challenges, then you only roll your magic dice. Each die must then be allocated to a particular challenge box. Each challenge box has a minimum number that must be reached, as well as a type. If it's a single die box, then the particular type of die rolled, strength, agility, or magic, must equal or exceed the number in the box to cover it. If it's a long or a wide die box, then you may add dice of that type over and over again until you equal or exceed the total. You also get heroic dice, which may be used in any type of box, with a notable exception in the case of bosses, which I'll get to in a bit. If a box has a shield icon, it must be filled in before any non-shield boxes can be. After all dice have been assigned, you can end the encounter, and you're then susceptible to whatever consequences that you've allocated from boxes that you didn't cover. This can include damage against your health or time removed. If you survive the combat, you may choose to turn the encounter card into one of 3 things: an item, a skill, or experience. As before, you are limited to how many items and skills you can have equipped on the hero based on their level, while experience is used to boost the hero's level. Of note, some skill options just give you another way to use a potion, and I'll discuss potions in a moment. Time is used to explore the dungeon. Now, the exploration mode consists of taking turns where you spend time to have up to 4 doors laid out for you. Once the doors, they start closed, are laid out, you can spend a turn to open the door and decide whether to engage or flee the revealed encounter. If you decide to flee, it just moves on to the next turn, and that door is now considered open, with the encounter revealed. You can then engage it during any turn thereafter. If you clear an encounter, a blank torch icon is listed, and then you can later spend a turn to explore, filling all of the blank spaces, up to 4 of them, up with closed doors. Once you run out of time, either through exploration or from penalties from combat, you are given the option to descend to the next floor. If the option is ignored, damage tokens begin to accrue, which can eventually inflict damage on your characters once they reach a certain level. During any point, you can expend a potion token to heal yourself, or use one of the new potion options that you may have unlocked. You receive additional potion tokens when you level up, or occasionally through other effects. Each dungeon has 3 levels plus a boss. The boss is a special case encounter in which you are then given the usual challenge layout, but some of the challenge boxes are listed with skulls. You can't use heroic dice to fill boxes with skulls in them, but for each skull you do cover up during a round, you do damage to the boss. The boss rounds continue in turns until either you or the boss dies. So far, it's a pretty simplified roguelike, feeling very much like a card game or an RPG light, but there is actually a bit of persistence. Every time you finish a dungeon, whether you win or lose, you gain a certain number of checkboxes to check off on the character that you used. Doing so can unlock additional abilities which may be used when starting a new game going forward. It's this functionality and the ability to carry over these bonuses that gives a certain feeling of proper advancement to the game. It can actually be compared to some computer roguelikes with the same sort of persistent character upgrades. Now, it should be noted that there are several additional DLC expansions that can grant additional dungeons and classes. Many of these are quite inexpensive, although at least one full-on expansion mirroring the actual card game is available. So how does the game stack up? In terms of graphics and sound, I can't complain too much. They really do reflect the sort of static card game that the computer game is based off of, and the art is not half bad. It is, however, fundamentally a card game, so the array of icons and skill text on the interface can seem a bit cluttered for some people. There's also an extremely limited amount of cards at first, which means that you're likely going to begin to recognize the cards and the challenges that come up, and you may grow bored of them. The game itself is rather challenging, even at the easiest settings, and due to the card and dice-based nature of the game, you are very subject to the random number generator, which can be incredibly frustrating at times. However, if you're a fan of conversions of board and card games and tabletop games such as that, it's not a half bad one. I haven't actually played the tabletop game it's based off of, so I can't speak for how true to that game it is, but I understand it's supposedly reasonably close. I definitely would not recommend this as a full-on RPG for those who are looking for the hardcore RPG experience, but in its niche, I can definitely see that it stands up to similar card-based computer games, even those designed from the ground up as actual RPG lights that just share a card game aesthetic. And on that note, I'm going to leave it at that. I will put the link to both it and the original card game in the description below. This has been the RPG Crawler with Indie Game Friday One Deck Dungeon. If you like what you've seen, remember to leave a like, comment if you've got any feedback, and subscribe for more RPG content, both tabletop and computer. If you're feeling particularly generous, I do have a Patreon at patreon.com/rpgcrawler that goes towards supporting this channel and reviews like this. Until next time, take care and goodbye.